Hello everyone and welcome to this full tutorial on how I made the music video for Call the Longships. In this video I'm going to show you step by step how I created the images, the characters and the video clips using OpenArt and the music itself using Suno. So whether or not you're completely new to AI video or you've been experimenting for a while, this hopefully should give you a clear idea of a full workflow. Okay, so the first step was to actually make the music. Now, I personally have a lot of lyrics that I've written myself over the years. I have worked in the entertainment industry, in theatre, TV, film, show management, production management. I've worked with bands. I was a lighting and sound engineer. So I think it does help. And used to play saxophone and I've made electronic music. So it does help to understand music a little bit. But really, I wanted this to be in the key of D minor. I wrote the lyrics myself, so I understand the structure of songs, and I use Suno to generate the actual vocal and the music. This is the full prompt that I actually used, which includes the key tempo and the vocal style. I wanted it to feel like a slow, powerful Viking march with deep, chesty male vocals and some haunting harmonies and chant-like layers on top of that. Once I had the music, I moved over to OpenArt to create the video. This is the master style Bible that I created for the whole project. It includes the base environment, the magical elements like glowing runes and aurora, the camera style, lighting and clip length. I also listed all the main characters and their character sheets so that the AI would keep them consistent throughout the video. And as you can see, I made most of the still images using Nano Banana. Okay, so I wanted to put 8 different characters in this video to see how the video models actually cope with that many characters. So my first character is Indigo Vox. He is my lead singer. I've used Indigo Vox for quite a lot of songs in the past. So I created a full character sheet with multiple angles, front, profile, back, and full body views. This helps to keep the AI looking consistent throughout different shots. I dressed him in a proper Viking era clothing with fur, leather and metal details. So Indigo has an older brother called Isaac Vox, and I did the same there. I have a character sheet and dressed him in Viking clothing again. He's my warrior in the sword fight scenes. And again, I made a full multi-angle character sheet so the AI can generate him consistently. Then we move on to Anya Cadence. Now, there is a backstory for every single one of my characters, and there's a reason for that. So Anya Cadence is also a singer. She's doing the harmonies, and I kept her natural look, but hopefully strong with her long hair, Viking clothing, and that slightly intense expression that fits the tone of the song. Then we move over to Ara Koff. So Ara Koff is the violinist, and she has long braided hair in one scene, but then in another scene she's got short hair. So this is kind of inconsistency that I noticed in the models themselves, but it's not too much of a problem. I'll accept that. So she's got a Viking warrior clothing on, holding a violin, and I wanted her to look really powerful but connected to the music. And I think some of the expressions that she portrays while she's playing the violin are what I was actually going for. It does look as though she's really connected to that feel of the music that she's playing. Then we have Elwyn. And Elwyn is the cellist. I gave her long curly dark hair and a strong grounded presence. Again, full character sheet, front, back, the views, etc., to keep her consistency. Now, one thing you may notice about some of my characters, they do actually look like myself, and that's because I've used a base image of myself to model a lot of my female characters from, so that I don't violate any copyright laws. So I am giving myself full consent to use my own image as my female characters. Then we have the old wise gentleman who I actually modelled on Aristotle. So his name is Aristotle, is my old Viking elder in the video. I wanted him to look ancient and knowledgeable with grey hair and a beard and weathered skin, and again that quiet, intense kind of stare. Then we move to Jamil Roots. So Jamil Roots is an Ethiopian Viking warrior woman with braids. She also has a sword, so she's in the sword scenes with Isaac Vox. And she's got traditional Viking clothing with some traditional Ethiopian inspired details like a cross necklace and patterned fabric. So her father is Jamir Roots, who is my older Viking male with grey long braids, who's playing a drum. Jamir actually has his own channel, which he does reggae music and will be accompanied by Jamil at some point, so keep an eye out for that one. So they are my characters who are in the video. There are 8 of them altogether. So I use this full set of character sheets for Call the Longships, and if you want to see the finished music video, it is at the end of the tutorial in 720p, or you can go to my Rad TV or my YouTube channel and the full video is on there. So that's how I generated my characters, all using Nano Banana and doing the character sheets to keep the consistency over scenes. Next we come to prompt 2 shot 2, and this is a opening shot basically using Nano Banana. This is the moment where Arisby Totulus, the wise old elder, appears from nowhere and is overlooking the village at dawn. I use the original village image as a strong reference and the character sheet and a close-up image of Arisby Totulus so that him and the location stayed consistent. I also added glowing blue runes and an aurora to start bringing in that magical feel. So that is my reference image. Then what I did is I took shot 1 and 2 and combined them as a start frame and an end frame. And this is where it gets a little bit cleverer. So instead of generating a full video from scratch, I used the start frame and the end frame technique. I took the first image and the second image and I let the AI blend them together into a 10-second cinematic transition. So this saved me not only a lot of credits but a lot of time. I generated it in 720p first and then I upscaled it to 1080p afterwards. So that's currently one of the cheapest ways to get good quality. In OpenArt you can actually upscale every single video that you do to 4K also, so you can get a better quality across your images. Prompt 3, shot 3 is a slow dramatic push in on the Longships gently rocking in the fjord. I put Jamil and Isaac standing on a deck of a ship with their shields, and I added subtle chanting visuals, glowing breath, mist turning into ancient symbols, and the camera moves in slow, bizarre, spinning motion around the mast to give it hopefully an epic feel, rather slightly unsettling Viking feel. At this point I took shot 2 and 3 combined, and this is one of the transitional shots in the videos where it's a start frame and an end frame, but this time with a proper story. So Arisby Totulus raises his glowing rune staff and releases a huge surge of blue magic. The magic then flows forward and transforms into Isaac and Jamil's standing in the Longships at dawn, and it feels like the elder magic is magically summoning the next generation of warriors. This again goes into shot 4, brings the whole band together for the first time, and I created a group shot of everyone on the warding deck. Well, not everyone, there's like 6 of them, so that includes Indigo, Anya, Elwyn on cello, Ara, Aris and Jamil on the hand drum, and they are chanting softly while glowing runes pulse on the planks beneath them. I used every single character reference image so that the AI kept everyone looking consistent. For the close-up of Indigo Vox singing, I generated a strong head and shoulder shot using his character sheet as a reference. I made sure the clothing, fur cloak and details matched exactly, so hopefully it would all blend seamlessly. And before I could do the lip sync, I had to prepare the audio. So I pulled the audio track into Audacity. I trimmed out the parts I didn't need and exported just the section that I wanted. So that's about 24 seconds of Indigo's deep, chesty chant. And this clean audio file is what I then used and pulled into OpenArt and chose the lip sync tool for. So I chose Kling Avatar, uploaded Indigo's character sheet, uploaded the 24-second audio, Then I pasted in a very detailed prompt describing exactly how I wanted him to perform. His deep chesty vocals, glowing rune tattoos pulsing in time, hopefully with the chant, a wolf spirit in the background, and a slow cinematic Dutch tilt around his face. So that's the full prompt on the screen, as you can see, and the runes, frost particles, etc. while he's singing. Once all my AI clips were generated, I brought everything into DaVinci Resolve. I imported all the video clips into the media pool, then placed the main clips onto the timeline in order. The opening longship scene, the second shot, the sword fight, and so on. I also dropped the full music track onto audio 1 track in the timeline so that then I could start syncing it all properly. So my workflow is quite simple. I first zoom in and line up all the video clips with the beats in the music waveform. Then I add smooth cross dissolves, transitions between the clips, usually about 8 to 12 frames, so that it kind of feels cinematic rather than jumpy. Next came the big sword fight scene between Isaac Vox and Jamil Roos. So I created an image using Nano Banana Pro with their character reference sheets for both of them, so they stayed consistent. I wanted dramatic sparks flying from the clashing swords, slow motion debris, and that intense kind of blood red rim lighting to make it feel epic and dangerous. I turned the sword fight image into video first using Seedance 2. That cost 880 credits for 11 seconds at 720p, and then another 100 credits to upscale it to 1080p. The motion came out quite well. The low angle spinning camera and sparks transforming into glowing runes. Then the next scene that I generated was the exact same sword fight, but I used Grok Imagine. Now this version only costs 300 credits for 11 seconds at 720p, so a lot cheaper than Seedance, and the quality of the video was still really good, so I ended up using a combination of both and then just upscaling the 720p again to 1080p. And so this sword fight is a combination of Seedance and Grok Imagine, mostly Grok Imagine to be honest. So combining those clips in DaVinci, I stitched the sword fight together in the timeline. I used 5 seconds from the Seedance version, added a quick cross dissolve, and placed the Grok version straight after it. And I as I said, I scaled the Grok clip slightly to transform that so that the two panel shots actually matched in size and framing. So the way I did that was placing the Grok clip over the Seedance clip, using opacity on the Grok clip just to line it up properly, and then just zoom in, etc. So that was for that particular shot. I used Google VEO3 through AI Studio, and I gave it the sword fight image as the start frame and the longships on the water as the end frame, and I asked it to make the sword spark and transform into the shadow of a giant eagle flying over the boats, and that came back with a 5-second video that worked quite well as a magical bridge between the flight and the next scene. So now we're on to shot 7, and this is a wide establishing shot of the longships launching into fjord at dawn. I wanted all the characters visible on the decks, shields raised with a massive Odin raven shadow stretching across the water. High angle drone dive straight down into the reflection, so that gave it hopefully an epic cinematic feel. And the next shot, I turned that image into video using VEO again, and this one was an 8-second long shot. The motion of the longships cutting through the water, and a dramatic high angle dive looking stunning, hopefully. I upscaled that to 1080p afterwards to keep the quality consistent with the rest of the video. And then finally on this we have a chorus moment with Indigo and Anya are stood side by side in the village. They're leading a full group chant of Call the Longships. So I added a massive exploding rune fireworks in the sky and ethereal warrior spirits rising around them, and then a 360 orbiting camera with a Dutch tilt to make it feel a little bit more powerful. Shot 9 is quite dramatic, hopefully. I created this image of the Longships racing through a stormy fjord with massive waves, and the warriors are rowing, hopefully in perfect 6/8 rhythm. I used an inverted camera angle that flips the whole world upside down, so there's like a mirror of upside down ships and right way round ships, and I added glowing runes on the sails and crashing wave particles to keep the hopefully magical feeling going. Generated the next shot in 2 different tools, so there is Seedance and Grok, so I could pick the best motion. Both versions gave me that wide inverted camera move and the stormy energy, so I generated them again as 720p and upscaled to 1080 to save credits. The Grok version ended up being much cheaper, but still looked pretty damn good, to be honest. What I did then is I laid that out onto DaVinci Resolve and just continued with the editing process, placing the Seedance clip first and then added a quick cross dissolve, dropping in the Grok version straight after it, and then transformed that panel again so that it was the right scale and size. Shot 10 is a close-up of a young Viking carving glowing runes into the wooden ship with the elder watching him. So that's basically Indigo Vox and RSB Totalus. And I'll use Nano Banana Pro for the character references for both the faces and the costume consistency, the glowing runes on the hull and the magical light trails following the knife. I turned that image into video using Grok for 7 seconds, and that cost 210 credits at 720p. The motion of the knife carving and the glowing runes lighting up looks pretty cool, I think, but you know, I'm quite biased. It is my own video, so I do like it. I upscaled that to 1080p, and then again placing everything into the DaVinci timeline, combining all those clips together using 4 seconds from the Seedance version, and added cross dissolve and then place the Grok clip right after it. So this is pretty much the kind of pattern that I use when I'm actually making videos. Shot 11 is a wide shot of Jamil and Anya standing on a rocky cliff at twilight, looking over the fleet of Longships below them. I used a dramatic high-angle Dutch tilt and a strong backlighting from the green and purple auroras. Their hair's flowing in the wind there, and their cloaks are flowing in the wind also. Upscaling that again to 1080p to keep the quality consistent and the credits lower. Next shot, 12. This is the violin solo, and I created a close-up of character Ara Koth with her violin. Close-up, and this is in a snowy square at night in the village. The bow is moving with motion blur and glowing blue runes, and musical notes are swirling out of and around her. And I used the same character reference so that everything stayed consistent. Then turned that into a video using Grok with orbiting camera movement around the violin, and the way the glowing runes and notes flow out of the strings looked really nice as well. So that was 330 credits at 720p before upscaling. Then I placed that back on the timeline and used the Grok violin clip. Then the next shot is the cello, Eloin playing cello in the snowy village, and I created this image with her reflection, hopefully captured in the puddle that she's sat near, and glowing musical notes raising above her. So that again I generated with Grok, which I think looks really good, and the motion from the orbiting camera around the cello and the rippling reflection in the puddle, glowing runes, etc. Shot 14 is a hopefully big dramatic moment for Indigo Vox. I generated this using Hailuo 2.3. It's a powerful medium shot of him standing on a cliff at night, lip syncing with real intensity while looking over the fjord. The glowing blue runes orbiting around him and the Longships in the background. First shot was about 6 seconds at 1080p and cost 1,000 credits. Shot 15 is a much more intimate, calmer moment, and this is a thoughtful expression and a slight smile, almost like he's reflecting. I use this character sheet as the reference, so the face and the hair and the clothing stay perfectly the same, and then again with Audacity picking out a section of the clip, 27 seconds to lip sync using Kling Avatar at 1080p. And that cost 650 credits and gave me a strong emotional close-up performance. So I also generated a second version using Hailuo 2.3 of the long full body shot of him, 6 seconds again. This got smooth camera movement, it starts close and it slowly zooms out to reveal the full peaceful scene with the Longships and auroras. So that again was 1,000 credits for 1080p in Hailuo. So then what I did is clip those two together, mixing them up in DaVinci Resolve so that the music lyrics lined up with the visuals. Shot 16 is a close-up of Jamil on his drums, which I took from the earlier group shot and asked for a tighter close-up on him specifically so I could show the power and focus of his hands while he's playing, and then runes coming out of the drums. Then turned that into an 8-second shot using Grok, and this was mainly used as a fill to cut to during the drum section, so it only cost 240 credits at 720p, and then I upscaled again. Generated a second version with a slightly different energy and timing. Having two versions of the drummer gave me a bit more flexibility, so I just kind of swapped between the two of them, and I did have to slow that down in DaVinci just to get the timing right for the drums. Shot 17 is a sword fight scene on the Longship again, so I used the previous sword fight images as the reference and placed both Isaac and Jamil on the deck of the moving ship, and I wanted a bit more aggressive fighting with this and sparks flying. Then I generated that version in Grok. I think that was 12 seconds of an intense fight sequence, fast orbiting cameras, a few bizarre movements, upside down, Dutch tilts, etc. Again, 720p, 360 credits, and then upscaled to 1080 for 100 credits. So again, the sparks were slow motion moments, and the movement of the rocking Longship and the water coming onto the deck I think looks pretty good. And then shot 18 is a big emotional release at the end, and I used a full band group shot at the starting frame. The camera pulls back to reveal the whole village while everyone sings together. And then again, sword fight, so it's just a matter of in the DaVinci timeline just clipping between these kind of shots to give the pacing, you know, to match the drums and the pacing of the music, etc., to keep an intensity going. And then it kind of becomes a bit more peaceful after the fight, and the two warriors lower their swords and the camera pulls back and reveals an entire fleet of ships. So I use Grok for that. Shot 21 is the big peaceful wide shot of the Longship sailing away at sunrise. I generated this in Seedance 2. It's a very calm moment after all of that intensity, and the ship is gliding on the glassy water. The characters are actually just stood there not really doing much, but that I think was to do with the prompt more than the actual video generator. It was 10 seconds at 1080p and cost 2,000 credits. The next shot focuses on Arisby Totalis and Jamel, and they are standing together on the deck of a longship, and it's one of the better shots throughout the video. The realism is really beautiful, and the cinematic colour gradient for this shot is actually really lovely as well. So I created two different versions, one intimate Dutch tilt close-up showing their quiet prayerful moments and you can see their breath, and one epic wide gliding shot that was at 1080p, Seedance 2 and 2000 credits each. Shot 23 brings the whole band together for the final emotional release. I generated this using Seedance 2 as well. You can see that there are many of the characters, but it did struggle at the point of trying to get all 8 characters. So what it either did was not include one of the characters or duplicated one of the characters. I do think the model at the moment struggles with more than 6 characters. I managed to get 6 characters, but I couldn't get all 8 characters in the same shot. So I did my best with that. I think that's a limitation at the moment with the software. Hopefully they will have resolved that. I have talked to the engineers at Open Art and they have passed that information on to Seedance. So hopefully in the future we will be able to get 8 characters and hopefully more into one shot. So once all of those clips were ready, I took them all into DaVinci Resolve. I had a bit of a play around. I did some, zooming in on shots, slowing down with shots, cropping some things out that I really didn't like, cheated some shots, add some smoother transitions, and yeah, that's the finished music video. So that's the full tutorial on how I made Call the Longships. If you'd like to watch the completed finished music version in 4K, then that is available on YouTube or on my Rad TV. So that's Dr. Did's TV on YouTube or Rad TV. And thank you so much for watching. I hope this tutorial was useful. It is rather long. It is very in-depth. If you make something using these techniques, I would absolutely love to see it. Thank you very much for listening. If you want to watch the 720 version of the song, it is right after my little sign-off. Otherwise, please go and visit Dr. Diz TV, Rad TV or YouTube for the full 4K version. And thank you very much and take care and namaste.
In the frost-kissed dawn, the fjords awake. A wolf howls loud for Odin's sake. Steel meets the shield, the horn will cry. A song of blood as we rise to the sky.
Your challenge ends here!
Not while I stand!
Call the longships, oars in the tide. The gods are watching, our hearts are our guide. Through storm and shadow, to glory we sail, for honor eternal. From the mountain's peak to the ocean's roar, we carve our path with ash and ore. Runes will guide where the winds are blind. A warrior's fate is the strength of his mind.
You fight well, but you will fall! Then taste my steel!